Welcome to Leadership Reimagined. I'm your host, Cassie Crosby. Today I'm speaking with Tammy Hickey, a corporate HR leader and founder of Rebel Style, about the connection between who we are and what we wear and why it matters more than we realize. Hi, Tammy. I'm very excited for the conversation today.
Hey, Cassie, so excited to be here and talk about this.
Yeah, great topic. So let's start with a little bit about you. So, how did you get into this work? And when did you realize that it was about more than just the clothes?
I think I always knew. I think there's always been something within myself. I've always had a bend toward fashion. It's been an interest, that I've dabbled in. It's just been something fun. Whether it's I'm a thrifter, so it's like the thrill of the hunt, right? And then my daughter opened up an online boutique, and I partnered in that with her, and it was really a lot of fun. Then in 2020, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And we decided that we needed to put it on hold. It was something I loved, but she didn't. And I was like, okay, seems like a good time to close the doors. And when I was recovering from my mastectomy surgery and chemo, I just had this moment where I was sitting outside. It was in July, and thinking to myself, like, there's got to be a reason for me going through this. Like, I have to take kind of this experience and fuel it into something for good, something really aligned with my purpose. And as the name of somebody that I had heard speak about 10 years prior came to mind. And I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, like, I'm interested in learning about your certification for color." And she said, "Well, Tammy, I'm actually hosting my first virtual certification. Is it something you'd be interested in?" Signed up. The rest was history. I dabbled in style for a while I was growing my hair back. It was all about like styling a scarf on my head. And then it became, something that was just for fun as a distraction. But for me, through that journey of healing and recovery, and it being less about what I looked like and more about who I was on the inside and who I was becoming through this experience, really using style as a form of expression around showing up more confidently, not just in what I'm wearing, but in who I am.
Wow. What an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I know you have this incredible career in corporate and HR. And so what do you see as the connection between what you do in your free time and the leadership and what you do in your corporate setting?
Because for me, it's always been about way more than just style. It's been about like identity and presence and showing up as who you are. And style is just a tool to do that. It's very much a connection to what it is that I do. And that is like helping women to first and foremost, like be super clear about who they are and what they bring to the world, like their gifting. And then use style as a tool to bring that to life, mirroring the best of both worlds because coaching leaders, particularly partnering with executive women leaders in corporate to really give themselves a voice authentically and really lean into some of their strengths, whatever those strengths are, versus feeling like they have to fit a mold or a success profile in HR language.
Yeah.
It really becomes more about like throw those scripts out and what is your profile? What's your uniqueness that you bring to this role? And then how do we bring that out in your leadership? And then complementing that with how do we help to demonstrate that visually and what it is that we're choosing to wear?
Yeah. I was speaking with someone recently, a woman who works in corporate at sort of a high level. And she was just talking about the pressure, the pressure to fit a certain mold and even like how what you wear matters. But I was wondering, how much of that is a story we tell ourselves, about like having to wear that certain thing that matches the mold of, whatever that corporate environment is. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on that?
Like the power suit, right? Like it used to
Yeah.
be like you had to show up like in that power suit. And I think it was like early on, but before any of the style even entered into my portfolio, I always love to like test the boundaries on that a little bit. Because I've always been like a bit of a rule breaker,
Yeah.
which is sort of how rebel style came to be. Style is a form of expression, whether that was like, you know, leather pants in the office, I've done it and I highly recommend it. It's so invigorating.
Yeah.
Or like a funky pin or a funky scarf, like what or whatever it is that's something sentimental of value to you that you put it on, it to reminds yourself of like who you are. So I really feel like, especially when we think about like fashion in the workplace, style in the workplace, dress in the workplace is sort of like relaxed a little bit. Maybe we have COVID to thank for that. Remote work, things like that have definitely like stretched the boundaries. But I still feel like there is this level of like, particularly professional women feeling like I need to like look the part. And I put quotations around part because it's not about presence, but it's about what do other successful executives look like?
Yeah.
And particularly when we're looking around the room and we're seeing, mostly males and not necessarily females, we're getting better. But yet we tend to see like kind of cookie cutter with our style and how we dress. And, just helping women to see that, oh, what if it's different, it's unique, and you stand out? That's actually a strength and not a weakness.
Yeah. And how do our style choices reflect our identity, even if we're conscious of it or not?
I could talk about this all day long because I feel like the stigma around style is that people feel like they don't know how to do it because they think that there are rules. And I think this is where we get it wrong. There are strategies. Yes, there are strategies around color, there are strategies around like fit and things like that for sure. But yet there are no rules when it comes to like style. It's really about who are you? What appeals to you? And then how do we bring that to life using clothes as a tool, just like so I really feel like it starts from being super clear about who you are, like really, really clear on that identity piece. And then we just have fun with it. And part of it is like leaning into trust yourself and experiment with different things versus thinking, oh, I couldn't possibly pull that off. Well, why not? Why not try it? See how it feels. And then it's like having fun and experimenting and using it in different ways as a form of self expression.
Yeah, I feel like the hardest part of that for most people is knowing who you really are.
We always start there. We think about style as something outside of ourselves versus like really starting from within, which is always why with my clients, that's where I start. We start with that identity piece and we get super clear on that. And then we walk through some of the strategies and then come up with, a style, which is really elements of clothing and how you put it together. That's really what style is. And how do we bring that to life? So, identity is the place from which all things flow.
Yeah. I want to go back to that idea of what style is. I think that's a good place to sort of put a pin and go, okay, what
Yeah.
what is this? Like what are we really talking about here?
I mean, I think that, going back to, gosh, remember probably dating myself, but growing up in those glamour days, like the back of the magazine, there would be those glamour do's and don'ts.
Yeah,
If
right.
right. And we're sort of raised to believe that, oh, like there are certain rules, like you can only wear black shoes with black tights or the proverbial like no white after Labor Day and things like
Mhm.
that. Like, can I do this? Can I wear overalls when I'm 45 years old? Like all these types of things. And look, there are no rules around any of those things. There are, like I said, style strategies. It's important to know each of us are made uniquely. Our skin tone, our hair color, the color of our eyes, the shape of our bodies. There are strategies that we can use to help to highlight you and what's unique about you. It's not about do's and don'ts, but it's learning to understand what some of those strategies are and making some decisions about, you know, what looks best and what highlights my features the best. And at the end of the day, and I say this to all my clients, like if I tell you black isn't your color and you're like, but Tammy, I love black. I'm gonna be like, okay, let's figure out how to make black work though, so that it helps you to look your best because it's really about like mirroring here, what's happening here, so that we're not overpowering and that you show up. People don't notice your outfit, but they notice you.
Yeah. And when you say like black isn't someone's color, like what do you notice when someone's outer presentation isn't aligned with what's on the inside? What would you, as someone who's looking at them?
And we've all had this. Like, are you tired today? Like, what's going on? You feeling okay? You're gonna look a little bit pale. You're gonna look a little bit sunken. Or if you're wearing a print that's a little bit overpowering, it tends to be a distraction. For example, like we don't want to overpower, we don't want to distract. We also don't want to have something that in fact like pulls us to the back or isn't complementing our the colors and our feature, but more so aligning. Like that's what we're looking
Mhm.
for, is that alignment. So that's where the strategies are helpful to like show up in our as our best selves.
Yeah, I was just thinking about when I go shopping with my girls and I'll pull up like a fall colored shirt and they're every time they're just like, we've told you no, and I can tell like if it just doesn't, it's just not the right color, right? It's sort of,
Right.
it washes you out or what have you.
It's helping clients to understand, like, notice what happens to your face. Or when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, are you seeing your outfit and your face together as one clear, one full picture, or is one overpowering the other?
Cool. And when someone comes to you and they're just like, I don't even know where to start, where do you begin?
We always start with the identity piece, so we start there.
Right.
So I use this strategy where I come up with, I call it, my signature style statement, or identity statement. So it's really a statement that is a representation through a process of reflection of who you are, so that when you walk into your closet, you're making a decision around, if I am, for example, a confident authentic leader, then how would a confident, authentic leader dress today? What is that? How can I show up as that person? And so we always start there. And then we get into some of those style strategies. So we do color, we do body shape, what's going to complement your shape best. So we talk about things like hemlines and cuts of clothing, whether that's a wide leg or a fitted leg or a flared leg or the length of a skirt or things like that, that are, again, going to complement your features best. And then we talk about things like style, personality, and patterns. We talk about things like accessories and things like that, all strategies to help to bring that identity component to life, so that it's something at the end of the day that not only puts your best foot forward, but feels in alignment. It feels congruent with who you are and how you want to show up, so that you walk into a room and you're not going to get the response of, wow, you look amazing. Did you do something different?
It just seems like, it can be so overwhelming for people. And I'm just curious, like, what is it that you hear from people, when they come to you and they're struggling, they're not sure what to wear? What's really going on?
It's either you've got someone who looks super, super polished, but struggles with the identity components. You just don't hear a lot, or they're not bringing their voice to the table, or there's like something out of alignment, right? Or there's the opposite of that, which is somebody that shows up as like super powerful, but from a style perspective, it's not quite congruent with kind of the personality that they're bringing across. So it's looking for that congruency. So that tells me, if I see somebody super put together, that, ooh, we've got to work a little bit on like the identity piece, that so that she shows up as that person that she's looking to portray. Or the flip side of that is somebody that shows up super powerfully, and it's like, okay, let's align your look to be congruent with that powerful presence that you have. Oftentimes, what I find is that it's usually a little bit of both, where there's like sometimes we just need a reminder of who we are, particularly like women in midlife that are at a point in their career where they've kind of really climbed the corporate ladder. They're kind of looking around, asking themselves, like, like, is this really for me anymore? Or, what do I really want to do at this next stage in my career? Or what is all this for? And they're kind of in this like midlife where they're kind of like, what is my purpose? Maybe their kids are
Yeah.
grown, and they just need like a little bit of help with like redefining themselves. And then they also like tend to, through midlife, our body's changing and all those things kind of lose themselves a little bit stylistically and
Mhm.
sort of struggle with like, my style has changed. Like it hasn't quite grown with, where I am or who I've become, or I've lost my style because I've lost a little bit of who I am. So I tend to see more of a little bit of both, particularly with like midlife professional women.
Yeah. And I feel like every decade, every time the counter rolls over another 10 years, it's like
Yeah.
you kind of need that refresh. Like I'm 10 years
Yeah.
older, I've changed, my life feels different. Sometimes the clothes you wear just don't feel like you.
We evolve as people,
Yeah.
we evolve as women, we evolve with each stage of our life. And so it's evolving, inwardly, but it's also, evolving stylistically too.
Yeah. How important is it for us to be thinking about style and how we're representing ourselves externally?
I think it's less about, this is one thing that I've been thinking about in the back of my mind as we've been chatting, is that at the end of the day, style is really just for ourselves.
Mm,
Yes, it is a form of communication. And it, like, people, what's that statistic around people like first impressions, like form an opinion, based on how you show up. And yeah, I think what's more important here is that we need to feel our best in order to be our best. And so, particularly like in a remote working environment where I tend to see, a lot more casual, a lot more, I don't know, less. It's this argument around, oh, let me just like throw on some sweats and I don't have to be on video today. So,
mhm,
therefore, what does it really even matter? On those days where we take that extra care, and it doesn't have to be dressing to the nines, but at least in
yeah,
a way that, where we show up as our putting our best foot forward, like we've done our hair, we put a little bit of care into what it is that we're wearing, we show up differently. We stand a little bit taller, we project with a little bit more confidence. It does affect our disposition. And to me, that's more important. Yeah, the impression that we make for sure, particularly in a leadership role, I'm not going to deny that. But yet, also, and more importantly, is that inner component. And that's really an investment that we're making in ourselves
mm,
to take the extra time, put in the extra care, and really, show up as that, you know, authentic leader that
yeah.
we are on the inside.
When, I just thinking about the pandemic was really the first time I had worked online. And I remember hearing
Mhm.
someone talk about that, like just how important it is to
Yeah.
get up, get yourself put together, like feel like you, whether you're going to the office or getting in front of a computer in terms of your presence. Um,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, I'm with you on that. It definitely
Totally.
difference.
Yeah, even if like going to that party on the bottom, business on the top, like for a while, full disclosure, like I was all about the leggings and then the, looking nice on the top, but I have been committed to wearing real pants. Like real pants with a zipper and a snapper button, right? And it changed the game for me. It
Yeah.
has changed the game in terms of like really feeling ready for the day. Like, and there's something to be said for that. It's just in our own dispositions and how we approach our work. Like, I feel more ready than if I'm throwing my cardigan on with my t shirt and a pair of leggings and throwing my hair up in a ponytail.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up differently.
Yeah. I suppose it's psychologically maybe similar to like the concept of making your bed every day, right? Just sort of
Yeah,
that step of like doing that thing for yourself to feel prepared.
right.
And so when you work with people and you get this color thing figured out and they start to express themselves, what do you notice is different with people?
Probably the best compliment that I could ever receive, and it makes me so happy, is when women acknowledge to me this is about so much more than just clothes.
Mm. Mhm.
Because what they're seeing is a difference in themselves and how they show up. They've made this investment And it's not even that they're showing up and looking good, but even more importantly, they're noticing that they show up differently, like they've changed from the inside out. And that, like, to me, that's the best compliment because that's really what this work is all about. Going back from why I even started this is because I wanted to help other women see just the gift that they are. I mean, and it's less about, yes, how you look, but it's more about how they feel.
Yeah.
And that to me is kind of the best testimony I could receive.
And this isn't really about, like, buying a whole new wardrobe or, like, what is it really about?
So oftentimes a component of what I do is like once we go through the strategies and we figure out the style that we're looking for, then let's take a look inside your closet. What is it that you have that aligns with that? And if it doesn't align, do you love it? And let's figure out a way to make it work. So we're often looking for how do we make what you already have work for you? And then strategically around where are some gaps, and then how do we fill in some of those gaps so that you're really maximizing your closet to reflect that person that you're becoming, that person that you are.
Yeah. Okay. And then if I'm someone who's out here listening and I feel stuck or I'm not sure where to start, what kind of advice do you have for people like that? What should I be paying attention to?
I think pay attention to how you feel. You
Mm,
know, if in fact you're walking into your closet and you're just feeling underwhelmed or overwhelmed, because there's such a thing as like too much and having too much chaos in your closet. But I would ask yourself, okay, why is it that I'm feeling this way? Is it because that I've changed, or is it because my closet just no longer reflects who I am? Or do I need a facelift, or does my closet need a facelift, or both? And just start to ask yourself some of those reflective questions that
mm.
really gets at the bottom of why is it that you're feeling underwhelmed or overwhelmed? Is it truly because of your closet, or is it because of like some of the things that are going on inside of yourself? And I would say start there.
Okay. And then where can people find you, follow you if they're interested in learning more about your work? Where are you showing?
Yeah. So my website is rebelstyle.net. Rebel Style by Tammy Hickey is my Instagram handle. I'm trying getting more involved in LinkedIn by doing more kind of articles and whatnot. But those are the best places you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. I could talk about this all day, but would love to just share more if people want to check out my website. That'd be fabulous.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.